piles and piles of plastic in the ocean. And it wasn't until then that I realised that virtually all the plastic I'd ever consumed in my lifetime was still floating around in the oceans or lying somewhere on this planet.
Welcome to Zestful Aging, where I talk with fascinating, talented, and influential guests who reflect on the adventures and challenges of aging and who are living their lives with vibrance and purpose. I'm your host, Nicole Christina, psychotherapist, writer, and Zestful Ager. And if you like this podcast, you'll love my companion course, Zestful Aging, Simple and Sustainable Habits for Health and Longevity. You'll have access to what I've learned from being a psychotherapist for 30 years and the latest research on what habits really matter and contribute to vibrant aging. Find out more at NicoleChristina.com. Last week, we spoke with Liz Vassy, a TV actress and writer. You may recognize her from 2.5 Men. She has done a documentary called The Human Race, where she follows runners of all ages and explores the importance of running to them. It's really interesting. And she talks also about how running has helped her deal with the grief of her mom's death. And you will also recognize one of our podcast guests in her film, Catherine Switzer, who was the first official woman to run the Boston Marathon. And next week, we'll be speaking with Paige Mills, who's the program director for Autism Up, which is a national program that teaches tennis skills to kids on the autism spectrum. It's scientifically developed by a neurologist and her spouse who was a professional tennis player, and it offers children a real opportunity to socialize and learn basic skills, and it's great for the parents who just need an hour off. So I think you'll really learn a lot and enjoy that interview with Paige Mills. Well, I have my Jack Russell Terrier Sparky beside me, my coffee in my hand, so let's begin. Today we're speaking with Pat Smith, aka Action Nan, who's from Cornwall, UK, and is on a mission to clean up England's beaches from plastic. She's dedicated herself to cleaning up one beach a week. She uses her own litter picker, and she's begun a campaign called The Final Straw, which brings attention to the damaging effects of plastic straws on marine life and the environment. Pat envisions a plastic straw-free Cornwall and has encouraged 600 local companies to stop using unnecessary plastic. She hopes to make Cornwall an exemplary county in the plastic-free movement in the UK. Welcome to the show, Pat.
Hello, nice to be here.
Excellent. So I was reading about you and I saw that you saw a film that had a tremendous impact on you. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, it was just a chance thing, really, because they was filming, a film was being shown in our local cinema called A Plastic Ocean in April 2017. And I went along with my son as a treat for Mother's Day. And I was just couldn't believe what I was seeing. It was just so shocking to me to see what was happening in the oceans from plastic that we'd all been consuming. And the producer, Joe Ruxton, was actually there doing a Q&A afterwards. So it was even more powerful because she was able to validate the fact that they'd actually gone out to film blue whales. But while they were filming the blue whales, they kept encountering this terrible piles and piles of plastic in the ocean. And it wasn't until then that I realised that virtually all the plastic I'd ever consumed in my lifetime was still floating around in the oceans or lying somewhere on this planet.
Hmm. And so are you an innkeeper by trade?
No, no, I have
Oh,
a business with holiday letting cottages.
cottages,
Yeah.
right? And so you had done that for a majority of your adult life and hadn't really been involved in environmental projects. Is that correct?
Well, basically, when I was a child growing up in the 50s, we didn't have single use disposable plastic. In fact, most of the plastic I ever encountered was on, sort of around a TV screen or maybe on a chair or something like it was rigid, long term plastic. It was hailed as a wonderful new invention, and plastic fantastic was on the TV and radio at that time. And so I've been looking at some statistics which start in 1950 going through to 2015, which is basically my lifetime, when we've gone from hardly any, sort of like 1 million tonnes, there's like over 3.5 billion tonnes now of plastic produced in the world and set to double by 2050.
Hmm. So you decided you had made yourself a New Year's resolution to address this. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, following the film Plastic Ocean, which seriously bothered me, I actually was looking around for facts and figures to try and substantiate this. And the more I looked, the more I found that plastic was an incredible problem, which most of us hadn't realised. And I found a quote while I was looking from the American actress Lily Tomlin, which said, you've all seen this quote, I'm sure. It says, I always thought somebody should do something about that. And then I realised I am somebody. And that really
Hmm.
resonated with me. So I kind of thought, I am the somebody. I'm the somebody who can do something about this. And so I started to be on a mission in my own life to try and reduce my consumption of plastic. But also, I started at that point my Final Straw Cornwall campaign. And it coincided the launch in November 2017 when Blue Planet 2 hit worldwide screens, and David Attenborough was pointing out to everybody how awful plastic was in the oceans. And I was ready to go with my campaign, so I had a lot of people jump on board, but that was very timely. I hadn't really planned it that way.
I see. So it was fortunate in that it was kind of coming together
Yes.
when there was more attention. And did you have any people who were resistant or who felt maybe put upon that you were drawing attention to their single-use plastic straws?
Not really, because I think there'd been a terrific change in mindset about the problems with single-use plastic following that film. And a lot of the businesses I approached, they weren't particularly raring to go, but they actually they'd realised there was a problem, and I was kind of handing them an easy route to sign up to do something about it. And what's interesting now, a lot of those businesses that signed up in the early days have gone on. Their awareness was raised, and they've gone on to reduce plastics in their business completely. So, for instance, a cafe will have started with the straws and then gone on to deal with the coffee cups, and then maybe their styrofoam packaging for their takeaway meals and a plastic bag they used to put it in. So they've kind of, as far as possible, got rid of single-use plastic in their business right across the board. So it's been like a
Mm-hmm.
light bulb moment where people
Uh-huh.
have realised that, yeah, this is a problem, and yes, we can do something about it.
What's it like for you, Pat, when you are walking past a cafe that used to use single use plastic straws and now you know not only uses those straws, but there's been a ripple effect and they're using less and less plastic? What's that like for you?
Well, it makes me feel really proud because again, I'm just an ordinary person. I'm not particularly clever or anything special. And I just think, my goodness, that old saying haunts me. I am somebody. And then if other people here go into that cafe and they don't get plastic, and people say this is why we're not doing it, then they maybe start thinking, oh, well, no, I don't need a straw to drink, actually. And yes, I can bring my own coffee cup. And those plastic water bottles, no, don't want that. I'll bring my own refillable bottle and just top up with tap water. We're just being so consumer-led, where we're just encouraged to consume things as if there's no tomorrow, and as if planet Earth has an unexhaustible supply of raw materials that we can plunder at our will. And
it's our
doesn't.
Trash bin.
Yes. And we don't have the right to be the only species that's actually valuable and important on this planet either.
So you're talking about humility.
Yes, very much so. I feel very humble, and for me to be talking to you today, I'm still really shocked that anyone's interested in me. I'm just an ordinary person. I haven't done anything very special. I just feel so proud that my words and my thoughts and maybe my passion has just touched other people.
Yes, indeed. And how do you say you have a grandson? Or your son? And you also have grandchildren?
I have 4 grandchildren, yes.
And how do they respond to this?
Oh, they're so switched on. They because I spend quite a lot of time with them. They live locally to me. That they join in beach cleaning and litter picking, and they have done for years. And they kind of just accept it, sort of like, oh yeah, we're going out with Nan. It probably involves, rubber gloves, a litter picker, and a bag wherever we walk.
Of course you do.
Yeah,
of course.
That's right.
It's funny because my family does fly fishing, and these are places, you go in quiet, beautiful streams, and you're going in isolated places, and I'm almost always finding styrofoam little containers where people had bought worms or hooks or something just tossed aside. So I too know that I have to bring with me some hefty bags, because that's part of the experience is cleaning up the litter. And also, so one of the things that I struggle with, and I know that you struggle with on a grander scale, is how do you keep your optimism and your energy when again and again you see trash and this sense that we just use the beaches or wherever we are and we just drop our garbage?
I really do struggle with that sometimes, and sometimes I can get quite low and sad about it. But I think time and time again, I always go back after I've had that low period. I bounce back up because I think basically I care so much. I care so much that I think me as an individual has the opportunity to make changes, which I already know I've done. And I just think I'm not going to stop, because I do know that it is having an effect. Because this morning I've organised a litter picking group in my village, and we've been going now for about 6 months. And for the first 3 meetings, it was just me and 1 or 2 other people. And this morning, 20 people turned up. And the more that do it, the more get involved, and the more people start to realise it's their responsibility. And often I've had people say to me, oh, well, why are you picking up that litter? It's the council's responsibility, or, someone else should be doing it. But that's the way of the world nowadays. We all expect someone else to do stuff as if it's not our fault or our problem. And I just say that has to stop. We are responsible for what we do in the world, and we are responsible. We can make a big difference just by all of us acting in a more responsible and caring way.
I'm going to guess that if you have 20 of your townspeople together on a beach, it might feel like a bonding experience.
It is. I mean, it's a sharing and caring experience. And I've negotiated with a local cafe that we all get a free coffee, whoever turns up. So when we finish, we sit and chat. And today, 4 of the people were new. They'd never lit a picture in their life before. And they were just said they found it so shocking that actually when they went out to realise how much was on the floor. And they're obviously, they have changed their appreciation of the problem.
Mm-hmm. Hi, Zestful Agers. I'll be attending the International Federation of Aging's 15th Global Conference on Aging in November of 2020. And if you're interested in improving your understanding of age-friendly environments, debating solutions to address inequalities, confronting the reality of ageism, and delving into what it means to enable the functional ability of an older person, head over to ifa2020.org to find out more. There's an early bird special on until the end of the year, so take advantage and join me in Niagara Falls. I'll see you there. And is the town also assisting you at all? Since I don't know how it works in Cornwall, but I'm sure that there's some department that's responsible or is supposed to help with keeping Cornwall clean.
We do have, and again, when people say to me, oh, why are you bothering to get us to clean up when over in Indonesia, people are sending rivers, India, rivers of plastic out to the sea. We're so much better behaved than they are. And I just say, look, you're talking of countries which have little or no infrastructure to actually deal with their trash when they've dropped it. I said, we're in the Western world. We have people who clean up afterwards. We have free trash collection from our door. How dare we? How dare we turn around and drop it in the street? And I would just say that it's just a matter of we consume far more than they ever will. And we are the worst problem of people who are using this massive amount of plastic in their lives.
And we don't even realize it.
No, and that's another thing that I've been very conscious of, is how subliminally the plastic has crept up on us, that we're expecting triple and quadruple wrapped items, that nothing, even if you go to the dentist, every single thing is wrapped and triple wrapped. And I look back now when I was a child, it was so simple then. We didn't have all this wrapping. I took my mum's straw shopping basket and my bread came wrapped in tissue paper, and my meat was in greaseproof paper. And the convenient items, we got very lazy. We're really, really lazy. We just expect to get this thing, rip the plastic off and throw it down without a moment's consideration about actually that's not okay anymore.
How is it for you to be among people who are not switched on, as you say, any other group? I don't know who you have people who come and let your cottages.
Yeah.
And talk about, your advocacy, your passion, and then people who come to Cornwall just because it's Cornwall and beautiful and on the ocean. How do you negotiate that?
Well, again, I try to do it by education. I try to open up a conversation without being boring. That's the problem. Sometimes I struggle because, I just think, oh my God, I'm on my high horse again. I'm talking about plastic because I was a teacher in a former life. And the problem with me is always in my life, education is king. If you have knowledge about something, you can choose. So if I can make people aware, they can start choosing the right thing or not. I know that I will never convince some people, But actually, I think if I lay out my case and I just say, this is the problem, this is what you can do about it, most people are really grateful for you handing them a solution. And in my cottages, we have made their lives almost impossible not to recycle, because everything is so easy. When you get your stuff to the trash bin, it's
With the
really easy.
bins, it's
Yeah,
very well
yeah,
sorted. So
yeah.
do people actually come now and they know that they're letting cottages from Action Nan?
Well, it's interesting, this one, because part of the story about me has been this frail little old lady who can hardly bend down and touch a floor. But actually, I'm a businesswoman and I'm 71 years old, and people don't expect me still to be running my business. So that side of it doesn't really sit well with the story. So mostly people have ignored that.
I see. And is that something that how do you think about yourself as a 71-year-old woman doing these projects, running your business? How do you think about that?
I still think I'm 25.
Uh-huh.
My body just shouts at me occasionally, lets me
Mm-hmm.
know that I'm not, but my heart and my head still think I'm young.
Mm-hmm. So it's a bit inconvenient, but besides that, it sounds like it's working fine for you.
It is, yeah. I enjoy life. I live life with an enthusiasm of a child. I get excited about things,
Mm-hmm.
and you can
Mm-hmm.
see me like jumping up and down with excitement. In fact, last week on the beach, I found a piece of Lego, because years ago a ship went down carrying a massive pile of Lego, and you very rarely find little pieces of soldiers and Lego bricks and things like
Uh-huh.
that from this ship. And I've been looking for one for ages. And last Saturday I found one. And there's a picture of me holding this tiny
Ah.
piece of Lego, leaping up in the air, going, "Yes, I found a piece of Lego at last." Yeah,
So this ship came from Scandinavia through
yeah.
and
Through
it
the English Channel, and it
channel.
and it wrecked, and the container fell off, and
Oh
it
my
tipped lots and
goodness.
lots of little pieces of Lego into the sea. Yeah,
How fascinating. And it's still there.
yeah,
Obviously, that's,
yeah.
to your point, it doesn't get erased. It is still there.
Yeah, yeah,
How
and of course
fascinating.
Lego's highly recognisable, so you certainly
Yes.
know when you found it.
Especially when you step
Yeah,
on it with
yeah,
bare feet. I can attest to that.
yeah.
So Pat, talk to my audience about what we can do. I mean, we're not all going to be cleaning up our beaches with a litter picker like you. We're not all going to be able to do what you do. Talk to us about some steps that we can do every single day to feel like we're making a difference in this.
Oh, what a wonderful opportunity you've given me just here. Well, actually, what number one thing is, people say to me, "Oh, I wish I lived near a beach like you." I'd be out cleaning the beaches regularly. And as I said to you earlier on, what we have to remember is the litter on the beach has not been dropped on that beach. The litter on the beach has come from roads, highways, streets where you live. And normally what happens, if it's not picked up, when the heavy rain comes, it gets washed into the drains and goes down the stream, and then ends up in the sea that way, where it's broken up by the waves and the salt. And little tiny bits of broken up plastic end up back on the beaches. So it comes from where you live. So number one
Uh-huh.
is try and be responsible for the litter in your town, or on
Mm-hmm.
your drive, on your highway. So that's number one. And number two, it's all about the simple changes you can make in your lifestyle. So, like I said to you before, you go to a restaurant that's serving plastic straws. Not only do you say, "No straw for me, please," you just say, "Those straws are really causing problems for our marine life. Have you or your manager considered not serving them and telling customers why?" So if enough people say that to a business owner, they're going to start thinking, maybe the public are not liking these straws. Maybe I could be first in the queue for making a change here and do some publicity on the back of it. So the other thing you can do is when you go to get your takeaway coffee, think, do I really need to have a takeaway? Shall I just sit in the cafe and chat and use the china cups that can be washed up? And if I do need a takeaway, why don't I get myself a reusable coffee cup and have it filled up each time, take it home and wash it and take it with me? Do I need to buy a plastic bottle of water? Can I not just get my own water bottle that I take with me and get filled up from wherever I am? Usually restaurants and hotels are more than happy to fill your water up for you. And the quality of the water that comes out of the taps now is every bit as good as the quality of the fresh spring or whatever it is water in the water bottles. You just don't need the bottle. And you have to remember that water companies, plastic water bottle companies, are in the business of selling you the bottles. It's not the water. The water you can have from anywhere.
That's a misconception. I know in the States, it's sold as, we have like 10 different kinds of water. You can get caffeinated water, spring water, energized water, this one, that one. Would you talk a little bit about the misconception of tap water?
Absolutely. Well, in this country, there's been quite a lot of surveys done because they try and sell it on the sort of the mineral content of it's come from a highland spring or some special place. Actually, it nearly always doesn't. And I know there are big companies who are extracting water from places. It's causing massive problems to the people who live around those areas. But actually, what I think you need to think about is that all you're being done is you're being sold to. They are interested in making money out of you. And if they can make a really pretty, say, a tennis star or someone stand there with a water bottle of a certain name, then you associate that image with something that's super cool. But actually, all they're doing is trying to sell you the water, which you can get for free. And I think, again, what's happened to me over the last couple of years is I've actually become quite resistant to sales pitch and actually started looking at it and saying, no, I don't, that's not true. That's not fair. Instead of happily consuming everything, I've actually said, no,
So
I'm not going.
being more of a savvy consumer.
Yes, definitely. And to try and always choose, look for the where all these things have come from. Are the cheap fashion clothes I'm buying only cheap because they're exploiting child labour in the third world country? I should be expecting to pay for a decent quality product that has got some ethical supply chain.
I see. It's so interesting because in the grocery store, I see things like water from Iceland. And I imagine how many resources have had to be used to bring Iceland water to New York using jet fuel. I mean, I'm just trying to imagine all of the environmental damage that has to, so somebody can say, hey, look at my water from Iceland.
Yes, exactly. And to be perfectly honest, no different from the water in your tap. Everyone can get a tap filter, filter water. You don't have to have it straight from the tap if you feel better about that. There's no difference in the quality of the water. And like you say, all of those things involve food miles or fuel and the energy that's used to create the plastic bottle in the first place, let alone the distance it has to travel. And all because, we want to have the latest stuff. And the time has to stop now for us to just be continually obsessed with having more things and not being content with what we've got.
So you're really addressing not only plastic, but you're addressing a much larger issue, which is consumerism
and lifestyle. Yeah.
and lifestyle.
Well, the plastic has flicked on many light bulbs in my head. And I've actually, the realization of the one has led to me actually starting to think about the others. And a bit like, straws leading to coffee cups and packaging in my businesses. It's just like you can't look at that in isolation, because every single thing that we consume has implications for the raw materials on this planet.
What do you think your life would be like without this initiative, Pat? You're letting cottages, you've got your children, your grandchildren. How would it be different if you had not put yourself so fully into this project?
It would be simpler, quieter, not so hectic, but I've always been really energetic, and I've always had passion for things. Everything I do, I tend to be, full on, and I've just so enjoyed meeting these like-minded people that I didn't know existed before. Having a voice like this now gives me an opportunity. I've just been having a very nice Facebook and email conversation with a lady in Berkeley, California. And she was so inspired by me, and she's a granny. She started cleaning up her beaches in Berkeley, and I think she's on beach number 39 now. And there's people from all over the world are saying, look, I looked at it and I thought, I can do that. And then you think, well, how many people has she influenced where she lives? And how amazing it is, like Greta Thunberg, a 16-year-old schoolgirl who just stood up for what she believed in. And how powerful is that?
It is gorgeous. That's
So
what it is. She's really challenging the thinking of the leadership in the U.S., and it is about time.
absolutely, and worldwide. And I think, again, she's, an absolutely amazing child, and she has so much conviction. And I think maybe her Asperger's helps her to be that single-minded, that she's not distracted with too many other things like most of us have got in our lives.
Right. She
But
she
she's
has said
brave.
that. Oh, is
She's
she
brave.
ever?
She's
And
brave. Yeah.
she is. She's a gem. You've been asked to do some pretty big presentations.
Well, yes. I
Yeah.
in a month's time, I've been asked to do a TEDx talk,
Yes, I
um,
saw that.
and yeah, I'm a bit nervous about it actually, because as you can hear, I can talk for England normally, chatting, but I think, standing up on the stage with all the lights on me, my knees will go a bit jelly-like.
I think that that's part of the experience. If you go on a TEDx stage without your knees going jelly like, that's a very odd
Yeah.
situation. And where will the TEDx be filmed?
This is in Truro, which is our main city in Cornwall. So yeah, and it's a big thing. I watch a lot of TED Talks myself because I find them very inspirational, and you never really know what you're going to hear. And I think that's just part of the human nature of people, that their passion shines through. And I really enjoy listening to what they have to say. So
Do you think it'll be difficult to get all of what you want to say? Is it 18 minutes or 20
no,
minutes?
it's only about 13 for us, I think.
13,
So
I see.
so I've kept myself very much on a theme for this. It's not all the sort of variety of things we've touched in this conversation, but my theme is called the Attenborough Effect. So trying to explore what it is about certain people having the power to inspire others, and what is that?
Ah, I see. That's a whole psychological piece to
It is,
this.
it is. I'm not a psychologist, but I'm just trying to sort of work out for me, why can certain people bring
Mm-hmm.
the rest of the audience or their followers along with
Mm-hmm.
them, whereas other people you listen to and you've forgotten what they said tomorrow.
And what are you finding? What makes people more influential than others? What are you noticing? Or
I think one very important thing is something we've already touched on, which is called passion. I think a
mm-hmm.
passionate person who is also very authentic, i.e., they
Mm-hmm.
are walking the walk, not just talking the talk.
Mm-hmm.
So someone who practices what they preach. So you can see that actually, what they're telling you is what they believe themselves and what they're actually doing. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that makes it more inspirational. Number one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, and maybe not being perfect, but really trying hard.
Yeah,
And
and I
yeah.
think again,
Mm-hmm.
ordinary men and women. And I'm thinking literally people like Mahatma Gandhi,
Mm-hmm.
Nelson Mandela, Greta
Mm-hmm.
Thunberg,
Mm-hmm.
ordinary people who've actually just said, Rosa Parks, for instance, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
going to give up my seat on this bus.
Mm-hmm.
That's what she did. And,
Mm-hmm.
look at what happened after that.
Right. Right.
So I'm thinking a lot of that inspiration has come from people leading by example, and also not being afraid to challenge the status quo.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So you're talking about courage.
I'm talking about courage and not bland acceptance of everything we're told.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think a lot of the time now we are being manipulated, not necessarily for the powers of evil, but actually manipulated to kind of be accepting of everything we're told and given. And I think it's
Mm-hmm.
time for us little old grannies to say, come on, no, we're not going to do this anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's really important. And I have to say, I'm pretty interested in environment, and you've inspired me today. And I already have it in my consciousness, but I think hearing it from you and hearing it emphasized and the reality of it, we can't escape it anymore.
We can't. We time is not on our side.
Hmm.
To be fair, when I was growing up, I had no idea that plastic was causing a problem. And I think the thing is
Hmm.
that once you realise that things you were doing are actually contributing to maybe even the sixth mass extinction, maybe even the fact that what I
Hmm.
drives me on, the most important thing that drives me on is that I feel that I've contributed to making a polluted world for my grandchildren to inherit.
Hmm.
And I
Hmm.
won't be here to see it. It
That's
will be
right.
something I've done in my lifetime to cause them massive problems in theirs. And I don't
Right.
like that feeling. I really
Right.
don't like it.
Right. 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 Where can people learn more about you and take up the cause and become more involved in the final straw?
Well, we have a website called
Okay.
finalstorecornwall.co.uk.
Okay.
I
Mm-hmm.
also have a Twitter account called
Mm-hmm.
just Action Nan.
Okay.
And yeah, I have an Instagram. I try to use social media as much as I can, because as
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking to you today, Facebook, we've got Final Straw Facebook, I've got Action Nan, and they're my voice, and I try and continually daily update everything I'm up to and things that I think people quite like to hear, things that inspire me and influence me and help me keep
Mm-hmm.
going, because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes my batteries do get a bit empty,
Mm-hmm.
and then I only need to read something else inspiring and off I go again.
Yes, I think you make a really good point. Sometimes we get tired, even though we love what we're doing and we're passionate. And sometimes maybe you just need to sit on that rocky, beautiful coast and in your, with your reusable coffee cup and look out and just take a rest.
Absolutely, or wherever you are. Somewhere they say that being in touch with nature is the most therapeutic, no cost healing you can have, even if it's in your local park or just looking at a view. But if you just take time to be in the moment and smell the air and it just is so good for your soul. And to me, the way we're going, the way we're using it up and spoiling it is just, to our own peril, really.
Well, it has been an absolute honor and pleasure for me to be able to talk to you today, Pat. And I know our audience is going to be really resonating with this message. It's all around us now. It's a big wake up call. And I really appreciate you giving us some really basic steps that we can use starting today to have some impact on this. So thank you so much for spending time with us this morning.
Well, again, all I can say is thank you for giving me the opportunity to share some of my thoughts, because I'm sure they're no different from most other ordinary grandmothers. But at least we can now, hopefully, more people go along and say, okay, right, shirt sleeves rolled up, off I go. I'm going to go and see what I can do now.
It's a beautiful way to end. Thank you so much, Pat.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us on Zestful Aging. If you like the podcast, please share it with some of your friends. I love to hear from my listeners. Send me an email at NicoleChristina.com. In this phase of our lives, we're more aware that our time is precious, and we certainly don't want to waste it taking care of stuff that we no longer need, left over from a life that we are no longer living. We know we would feel better with less clutter and more open space, but we don't know how to get there. If this sounds familiar, I'd love you to check out the online course I've developed with professional organizer and designer Carrie Luderin. This course is different than others you may have tried because we give you clear steps to deal with the clutter and tools to help you face the overwhelm and feelings that come up when you're going through your clutter. It's practical and realistic, and the lessons are short and punchy and very manageable, but it has the power to change your life. We all deserve to live in a peaceful home without the chaos of too much stuff. Find out more at NicoleChristina.com. And next week, we'll be speaking with Paige Mills, who's the program director for Autism Up, which is a national program that teaches tennis skills to kids on the autism spectrum. It's scientifically developed by a neurologist and her spouse who was a professional tennis player, and it offers children a real opportunity to socialize and learn basic skills, and it's great for the parents who just need an hour off. So I think you'll really learn a lot and enjoy that interview with Paige Mills. See you then.